Hello everybody, welcome back as ever to Building Blocks live on camera with mod making, where things go wrong. More often than not, really. And last time, we did a bunch of coding for our archfey, our very powerful mobs that you're not really ever meant to defeat. But this being Minecraft, of course, there's going to be people that try, so we have to actually account for that. Yeah. But, okay. So here we have our witch and our Kirin sort of semi-making a mess of things. So they have managed to generate a forest. This is mostly the Kirin's work, more than anything else. You can see they're still going at that. The lightlings now also have a little bit of a behavior to them, which causes them to actually try and follow the nearest Kirin, which is pretty nice. It's pretty cute watching them just sort of like scamper around and just follow them. And the witch is currently, I believe, turned off, but can in fact be placing other stuff. So let me see, are there any things around here? Not right now. Okay, so let's just tell the witch they can move. Type equals Farod, blip, Farod, patron, witch, no AI, 0B. There you go. Now they don't have any, they can only really use their overgrowth ability if they're under terrain, if they have like some kind of shelter over them. Whereas the Kirin doesn't need that, it's actually quite the opposite. So consequently, unless we actually get the witch underneath something, we're not really going to be seeing the overgrowth from them. But, lightlings follow Kirin like ducklings, more or less. Like, you can watch them over here, really. Yeah, there we go. Whoop, there we go, okay. So thankfully that is sufficiently, that sufficiently counts as being under terrain, so hurrah. And we got a little bit of creep. This is dead and inert creep, so it doesn't spread, nor does it die normally. It's just sort of there. It's mostly the decorative kind. But, oh, we got some cobweb over here as well. And a whole bunch more stuff. So basically these aren't meant to be next to each other, but they are encountered in similar environments. So this is a decent test. And, yep, some more inert creep, some more cobwebs around here. You can maybe start to get some idea of the realm that the witch and whatnot are encountered in. Just adds this nice little bit of procedural flair. But we're not working on the flair as much today. We are working on a bit more of their actual behaviors. So the Kirin, as we can see, is currently being followed around by lightlings. The Kirin needs to also actually make sure that there are lightlings nearby, just sort of whenever they're spawned and as such. Because we should be able to have like 2 or 3 lightlings always present around the Kirin, I think, within like a 64 block radius or something. So that should be a thing we should do. We should also, ideally, figure out how to better control the overgrowth ability, because right now it's just happening all the time. There's not really anything stopping it, whereas I think this probably counts as a completed zone, looking at it. There's also still the rendering bug, if you have a look at the Kirin over there, which is interesting, suffice to say. That's related to the lightling eyes, and presumably also the Kirin's eye, because it's the same thing. But it more or less causes them to be rendered inside out. Yep, right there. So, yeah, it's a weird looking one. But let's just turn these fillies off. Is this? Yes, this is off. Okay, off please. Other than that, there hasn't been terribly huge amounts of changes over the past week. A lot of it's been involving me looking into code injection, which is not something I'm the least bit familiar with, so it's kind of an interesting thing. And I'm not 100% certain on that just yet, so we're not really getting into that today, because I will cause untold problems, most assuredly, if I do. And here. That should be just about everything. Okay, good. What's our random tick speed? 200. Okay, let's dial that back down to 3, which I believe is the default value. Okay. So currently, the only ability that both of these have is overgrowth, their own kind of special area decor kind of feature. We want to get the Kirin to summon lightlings to follow him around, and we want the witch to occasionally teleport around. That's fairly straightforward. That's more or less Enderman code right there. But oh yeah, you can see the rendering going weird. Yep. But yep. Just looking at the whales there. Okay. So let's get to work on that, shall we? Okay, so Kirin needs a special attack of summoning lightlings. Gotcha. Add attack. Lowercase, there we go. New attack, patron, Kirin. Minions. Ads. Trash mobs. What do we call this? Just lightlings, I guess, for now. Let's see, where are we? AI. Nope. Oh, boss. Nope. AI boss. Okay. Yeah, attack spawn minions. There we are. I knew I'd already made a basic one for this. So we just create something that extends out of that. So the minion class is entity lightling dot class, and this is mostly just a straightforward thing here, I believe. Create minion is just we create the creature. Yeah, straightforward. So that will cause the Kirin to actually spawn a significant number. We want to add some actual qualification here for if it's valid. And here it's, are there less than 16 of them? We want to be changing that. Because we want to say, is there less than 4 of them? Let's make that protected because it probably should be. Is there anything else I want to change up? We can change the priority, we can change the cast time, we can change the name, obviously. I think that's probably good for the time being as is. So we just add that. There we go. And then we pop in and get rid of the current lightlings. So the current lightlings will go bye-bye, but we'll get a fresh we'll get a fresh set of them shortly. And then we can work on some other stuff in here. Currently, all archfey have access to Magic Missile and Wall of Fire, though that one's probably going away quite quickly. I think they have Wall of Fire mostly so I could test it, more than anything else. Okay. So TP at E type equals Parrot, Lightling, R equals 8, we'll say, 2 blip, negative 60 blip. I think that's basically all of them. There's one over here. Not quite sure what you're up to. Answer is now nothing. Okay. Reactivate the Kirin. Yep. So spawning minions. There's clearly a problem here. because we are evidently spawning a fair few of them in the ground. Okay. So we need to figure out what's going on there. We did end up with 4 of them, so hey, there's that. There's that. Let's just turn off overgrowth for the time being. Okay, so what's going wrong with this then? Let's see, can entity spawn spawner, post Y, that being boss's position, plus or minus -1. Okay. So why are we ending up in the ground? That's the question. Also, can I simplify this a little bit? There. Okay, so that reorganization basically just means this will always happen at least once. So there's obviously a problem with how that's being calculated, such that the position Y is getting messed up. Set location? No, that's fine. Didn't seem to be a problem when I had the raptors coming out the T-Rex. I know what I just said. Okay. So is it a problem with the height of the lightlings? Their height being 0.8, which is less than 1 block. Very cute. Shouldn't be. Is it possibly the mob spawner logic? Living spawn events, check spawn. No, that would just be if something else was messing with it. So that logically will always return. Let's see, what's your result type? Looks like it should just default to true, I think. Yeah, it should be default or allow. Okay. So it won't be that. Get can spawn here. And is not colliding. These will be the things that prevent you from spawning inside of a shulker, for instance. In fact, that right there, the get collision boxes, is what we need to fix for whales, because we have no way of just attaching multiple bounding boxes to it. The only thing that we can add is the bounding box of the whale once. Via one function. We cannot just get a collection, which theoretically means you can't spawn inside of the Ender Dragon, because the Ender Dragon has one huge core mounting box, but its actual collision is inside of like different discrete pieces that make up the wings, the body, the tail, that kind of thing. Which you can see if you push F3 and B whilst you're in the end. Let's see. Does not contain a liquid. That's not the problem. No entity collision. Yep, same as that. So why did it think it could spawn us there? Gets the block state below it with get can spawn here, which is obviously not the major concern here. Otherwise, if the result is allow, okay. What sets allow exactly? The result defaults to default. Naturally. Does anything set to allow? Not that I can see. Nope. Okay. So it has to be running default. How is everybody tonight? A little bit quiet, it seems. There must be something to do with like get can spawn here, I think, that's failing. It's like, we definitely can spawn on the dirt that's presumably underneath the floor. But why are we having a problem here? List of banding boxes that intersect with the provided access line banding box. That is related to that's related to like terrain, whereas entities is everything else. I think we're still queuing over the hats. Yeah, I hope you like the hats. They are not nearly as professionally done as like the emotes, but they work, I think. There's also like a 2-year and a 3-year like sub icon, which you only get access to if you're a partner, but I like to imagine that those will be golden hats or some such. But yes, for first month subscribers, it's like a little plain brown hat. And they're cute. I like them. Oven broke in the middle of cooking dinner yesterday? Oh no. The hob still works, so we can still cook. We need to get a new oven now. I'm in that exact position. Which is our oven doesn't work, but our hobs do. Fortunately, we don't really have much use for an oven more than the hobs, so. You're doing good, but apparently your body has decided it's stress time. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, apparently there's a get collision boxes event? Since when? Because that could solve a lot of problems. Oh, we can only get the boxes, we can't actually add to them. Bleh. That would say that would have, if this wasn't private, or if there was just a function to say add to, it'd be so much easier, but oh well. Most of our cooking is in the oven, so it's not great. Oh dear. I'm so sorry. Let's see, get entities. That just grabs entities. Okay, collision boxes would be blocks. World border, yep, does not get entity collision boxes, gets all the block collision boxes. Yes, okay. Why then do you not notice that you're going to be spawning them inside of actual grass? That's my question. Is it to do with how we're calculating our Hawaii value? Could that be it? I know mob spawners don't have this problem, so let's just see if they're related at all. Talentity, mob spawner logic. There we are. Okay. So when you calculate block position, get Y, it's literally the exact same thing. Okay. Anvil chunk loader, read world entity position. Not relevant, really. Terribly. Let's see, set location angles. Can entity spawn from a spawner, which is that position? Yes. Okay. It's running basically all the same thing as we were. Actually, he's wearing slightly less checks than we were. We could just tell it to add 1 to that, but... I wonder... No, I was wondering if it could be the minion part is actually not working entirely correctly. Because here it actually asks, like, with the entity, after the entity has been created at that position. It's probably worth doing that ourselves, then, in that case. Okay, random. Next float. Gotcha. Hey, Void. How you doing? Enjoy your hat. The world. There you are. Okay. So that sets that position. Then it runs can entity spawn spawner. Hopefully, that's a meaningful change. Let's find out. Let's see if any of these poor lightlings spawn in the ground now. A hat and a crown? Oh, it's like Christmas morning. Has anyone has anyone done that? Like, been wearing like a fancy, ridiculous Christmas hat, and then get like the paper hat from the party poppers or whatever? Crackers, that's the word. Then you just put it over. Okay, so lightlings, do they spawn in ground? Let's just reactivate our Kirin. Not seeing any in the ground, so I think that worked. That is rather a lot of them, though. We're only looking for like 3, and we've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Wear them on top of your beanie. True transboy fashion. Aww. Let's see, so that will be part of the base code of attack spawn minions, which we can fix up, at the very least. Because it's very simplistic right now, but we can make it a bit more manipulable. So, defining a range, for instance. Yep, that was the correct value. Good. And we also want to get how many we're allowing. So now if we go to here, instead of having this, we just override those functions. In fact, we didn't change that, but we can, so let's say 8D. Because it's a happy looking number, 8D. Was it max count or something else? I can't recall. Nope, it is max count. Okay. So now we just get rid of that. The army rises like rabbits. I mean, give or take, yeah. Okay. So, next question. What is causing us to have so many? Active time per second. Okay, so it's time per second, so it's the duration that's causing them to spawn up to like 6. Okay, we should probably run that check as, like, this tally check during that, which will then cause it to be like max count hit. Okay, we can stop now. So, public boolean is under tally, I guess. So at that, and if we are under the tally, whoops, or spooze, there we go. Okay. So that should now mean that everything's fine there. If I do that, is it going to complain at me? No, it's not. Good, good, good. Right, yeah, I think everything else is fine. Good. Okay. The final there just means that we can't override perform, which is more a problem if somebody else is tinkering with this than me. Okay. So now, we should only get 4, not 6. Basically, it tries to spawn a minion like once per second. I suppose I could make it a bit smarter and say, like, what's our max count divided by, like, our duration, or our duration divided by, like, the number of seconds in it. Like, just make it so that it actually scales how many it tries to spawn at once. That might be a bit smarter. Okay, let's get rid of the former crop. Farewell! Okay. I do enjoy watching them just like pop in like that, that's nice. Okay, and it has stopped at 4. Very good. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Is this to... Nope, this is just to keep you in place. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's very like cute watching them pop in like that. But let's actually see what we can do here. So we know how many we absolutely want to spawn. We know what our duration is. Happy September? Oh yeah, almost spooky time. I am excited. So from there we can work out how many we should try to spawn, assuming that we only try to spawn once per second. So, int second, well, spawn efforts, or spawn events, I guess, equals get duration over ticks per second. So that's, if we only spawn once per second, that's how many seconds there are. Okay, and int spawns per event, or max spawns per event, I guess that would be get max count over spawn events. I mean, we'll actually make that math.max, well, min 1, I should say. So it's always at least 1. So for int I equals 0, I is less than spawns per event, I plus plus do all of this. So now, if we change the duration, it'll change how many get spawned, like per second, as it were, but always at least one. And if we change the max count, it will also have that effect, so it'll scale. So if we wanted to have 32 skeletons, or whatever, get spawned by a lich, within a 6-span like time, that would be quite a lot. So let's see, what would that be, out of quick curiosity? We've got 6 seconds, which means 6 spawn events. We're spawning 32, so that would be 32 over 6. That would be 5-ish, essentially. And it's still got some variance to it, because it will try to spawn that many per spawn event, so it won't just end up locked to the tally. Good. Good, 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 good. Is that gonna have any visual effect upon our lightlings? I don't think so, because we're spawning. Well, we're only letting spawn, like, 4. But let's find out, I guess. So we fix them spawning. They can apparently still spawn on top of like tall grass, but I presume that's more of a shortcoming of tall grass than anything else. And we fix them spawning in the ground, seemingly. Here's what we can tell. I could ramp up the lightning count and just see what happens. As a stress test. Man, Big Giant Circles does some serious bops. Okay, so get rid of the current selection. Type equals lightling. Okay. That was unrelated. Okay, yep, we have something resembling a problem. Which I predict is because I did division on integers. That happens occasionally. That tree is also completely unrelated. Making circles in MS Paint and you saying big giant circles confused you for a sec. Oh yeah, sorry Dusty, I can see everyone's, like, desktop in the chat. It's, I hacked Twitch, you see. I got your IPs from the servers. Still love the hanging whales like pinatas. I mean, certainly if you hit them long enough, eventually things will come out. That is called a loot drop. Okay, so let's change these to, well, yeah, and the floats should be fine. And then I guess the problem is that the final value is not an integer. Hope you like my desktop background. Yeah, it's an interesting choice. Not one I would have made. But then most of my backgrounds are, here's an aesthetic picture of a fox, or here's an aesthetic picture from a Minecraft server I had like 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. And occasionally here is an aesthetic picture of something sci-fi related. Okay, let's see if we get anybody. Still no. Oh, I guess because right, no, I see the problem here. Okay. I've done a classic error here, which is I said it needs to spawn at least 1, so it needs to spawn at minimum 1. What I actually said was, it needs to spawn at most 1, because if this value is higher than 1, it'll just default down to 1, but because we're spawning 4 in 6 seconds, the value ends up being less than 1, so we get the other thing. So yeah, that's the problem there, is I had that reversed, essentially. Actually, a slideshow of your favorite artist's art? Huh. Again, interesting taste. Mine's just black as your laptop deleted it and you're too lazy to fix it. I do have a fair few Simon Stalenhag pieces in my rotation, I think. Who's a great artist, but he might be a little bit on the side of what's the phrase? When an actor only gets like specific types of roles, what's it called? Typecast. Yeah, he might be a little bit typecast because he's just sort of gotten very much like a thing for dystopian kind of cityscape imagery and such. And that's just basically anything. That is the only thing that anybody ever talks to him about these days. Which, on the one hand, he's really good at it. On the other hand, nobody cares about anything else. There we go. Okay. So if your max population of minions generated by the special attack is lower than the duration in seconds, then you pretty much only will ever end up with that many. But if it's higher, there's some splash, essentially. But okay, so that made our attack a little bit smarter. And now the next thing is the spawn range. Kirin has the enviable ability of making their own friends when they're lonely. I mean, so does the witch. Just the ones that the witch makes are significantly more terrifying. Okay, let's reduce that down to 3, I think. Now that we've got it working. Just to... 3 or 2, what do we think? I'm gonna say 2. 2 is like a decent entourage. Pardon, Void? You, What is it the kids say? No, I've just realized what the kids say and I'm not saying that on camera because somebody will clip it. Get count range, I guess. We're gonna say 64 blocks there. We're just going to formalize this so that other things can actually do that quite happily. What's your problem? My problem is there's a bracket missing. Yep. Five problems? Oh. One inside the Kirin. Oh, because I turned off overgrowth. That's why. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so now if there are already a couple of lightlings within 64 blocks, the Kirin doesn't try to spawn anymore. If there's less than 2 within 64 blocks, they spawn within 8 blocks of the Kirin. Phew. Which is also in a cage for witch crimes. Sits here with like 90% of the clips. Yeah, why do you think I'm careful about what I say? It's like, what do you expect me to do? Like, point my webcam straight, like, firmly at my own junk whilst I'm wearing short shorts and do squats? Is that a thing you expect me to do? Moving swiftly on. Another thing we could do is have the witch definitely needs to have changelings in their vicinity at pretty much all times, but they specifically need to be changelings that are temp, that are more or less programmed to avoid your gaze, so that like, they're constantly just like on your periphery, like your peripheral vision at best. They should be trying to hide from you, essentially, because when you encounter the witch, you're supposed to be inside this big bramble forest. It's like you're not really meant to know what the changelings are necessarily. So that's a thing that we should bear in mind, but I'm probably going to have two versions of the witch, because there'll be the witch that you find generated in the world, and then there's the witch that's like when they're visiting a hive. It's like those should be two separate things, which is fairly easy to accomplish. Just create a class that extends off. Okay, so we've got on our Kirin. I don't know how to say a tick there. Let's put an X, I guess. It's plant growth is our overgrowth, I believe. Yes. Okay, so we call that one done as well. Keep forgetting clips are a thing, so every so often I check and there's loads of new ones, mostly from Dusty. I don't even keep track of them anymore. I should, but I don't. There's a lot of them that are like a couple of seconds or so of like the opening card, and that's really weird to me. Like, I don't know why people make those. Okay. Shocking Grasp is definitely a spell we need to develop anyways. Lightning Bolt. Technically it already exists as a spell, but the rendering on it is messed up because I don't know graphics, pretty much. Tree Shape. Remind me what Tree Shape does. Is Tree Shape just the one that turns you into a tree? Where's D20? There's this one I'm looking for. Okay, Tree Shape. You are able to assume the form of a large living tree or shrub or a large dead tree trunk with a small number of limbs. Right. That's going to be complicated, because in order to get that working, we need a tree that you can't just break with an axe that everybody carries anyways, or literally your own fists. So we need some very durable wood, and then we need to actually have it as our own thing so that we know what material it is, so that we can cast it and know what to remove at the end of it, because just creating an entity tree, it's not impossible, but it is weird. Just turns into a tree and suffocates somebody. Not impossible. Yeah, to all normal tests, you are in fact a tree or shrub, although a detect magic spell reveals a faint transmutation on the tree. While in tree form, you can observe all that transpires around you just as if you were in your normal form, and your hit points and save bonuses remain unaffected. Bedrock tree? I mean, probably not bedrock, maybe closer to obsidian. You're immune to critical hits, you gain +10 to your AC, and you have an effective dexterity score of 0 and a speed of 0. All clothing and gear carried or worn changes with you. This is maybe another situation where it would be really nice if Minecraft had an actual concrete implementation of entities and controllers. Or actors and controllers? I know there's a specific term on that side, but because we could just swap out the player with a tree that can't move and has all these things, and then later on, like, just switch them right back. Would be totally doable, would be really easy. But we don't have that option here, which is kind of annoying. So, there is something that I need to add fairly sharpish before we get like really heavily into adding a whole ton of like dismissible personal cast spells like Iron Skin and such, which is an actual like menu in your inventory for your ongoing spells. Because right now they just orbit you, and that's functional until you have like 15 and you need to access them in a hurry. Which we might get to tonight. What do we think, everybody? Is that a thing I should... Oh, that could take me a bit. I think, well, I'll take my break, have a think, and then we'll come back and see what spells we should try and implement for this, because we do have a thing that let's cast spells, so, yeah. But, other than that, back in 10, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. So, in the last hour, we managed to create ourselves a minion summoning attack for the Kirin, which causes them to spawn lightlings. Only a couple of them within a very large range. And we've also used that opportunity to actually overhaul our minion summoning base class for attacks for bosses and as such, so there's a bunch of things that we can now change quite happily, and that's just beautiful. And we also fixed a bug that caused lightlings to spawn in the ground, which was not so good. As near as we can tell, we fixed that bug, but yeah. We also made it a lot more variable, so it still only spawns things once per second, but the number of things it spawns in that second is dependent upon how many things it can actually have and how, like, long it runs, that kind of thing, so it's nice and flexible. So now we're going to try and create a couple of new spells. I think we're going to try and make Entangle and Shocking Grasp. We already have Sunburst, so I'll use that as a little demonstration for how we cast Sunburst. So we want Attack, Cast Spell, Sunburst. I'm going to be extending out of Attack, Cast Spell. So just fill that in. Add all of the things that are not currently here. So let's see, Wall of Fire. Actually for this, I think Magic Missiles may be like a decent reference point. So Magic Missile is meant to be used predominantly as a fairly like basic attack. But we want to change that to Sunburst, which is one of the more dangerous spells I have, suffice it to say. I believe is that a 9th level spell? I can never remember. Let's find out. It is an 8th level spell, so yeah, it's pretty painful. Pretty painful indeed. Let's see, fire conditions, so do we have a target? Yes, that should be good. Do you want to aim at the target, or do you want to aim at the target's feet, or something else? I can never remember. There's the floor, there's the feet, there's none in general, just like an ambient effect, that sort of thing. I can never remember. So let's see, if it's the target, we aim at the target. If it's the feet, set look position. Let's see, we're looking for the target here. Get attack target, yes. Is that literally the only thing? Yeah, okay. We'll just aim at the target then. Easiest way to put it into an area of effect, I guess. Sunburst is an interesting thing. It's sort of like Fireball in that you ideally, I guess, want it to be like on the target because that'll give them the furthest distance from any escape. But you can also just be aiming near it. It's going to hit a lot of things, so there's that. We do want to make sure that we don't cast this at close range. That is that is a significant fault, because the damage radius of Sunburst, let's see, it's spell Sunburst, I think? Yeah. The damage range of Sunburst is, let's see, target range, yes, there's that, that's not what I'm looking for. There's the radius. Okay, is 80 feet. So it's quite a range. You wanna try and make sure this is only cast at long range, which I believe we can do. Let's just dial up the priority for that to there. And let's also make this like 5 minutes, because casting an 8th level spell every 15 seconds is kind of absurd. So let's see, public boolean is valid, entity living base, source boss, source booze, return super, that is valid, source booze. And let's see, we want source boss dot get attack targets. Right, we don't have that just yet. Source boss instance of entity living, then entity living source boss dot get attack target, otherwise a null. And target does not. Target equals null or the other thing, essentially. Because we have to have a target or else this thing won't fire anyways. Get distance to the source boss is greater than... it's 80 feet to me. What is 80 feet in meters? There's a question. 24. So we'll say 25. Greater than or equal to 25 blocks away. So if you're 25 blocks away from the Kirin, then we're within the 5-minute cooldown. Imagine using meters. I honestly couldn't tell you why D&D still uses feet. Meters are so much more, like, succinct, but... There's a question. What is, like, a 5-foot thing in that? It's 1.5 meters. So you could reasonably convert Dungeons and Dragons to meters. It wouldn't be that hard. Imagine using meters. Couldn't be me. Dusty, are you American, perchance? Are you from the colonies? Wonder what's going on over there. I haven't heard about them in centuries. Okay. So that should more or less set this up to work. The problem I have now is I need to test this. But that means that I need to provoke the Kirin from 25 blocks away or more. This could hurt. Also, at some point I probably should try and just make a way that you can just define these without having to create a different class for each individual one. Maybe I should just have every spell define that. Just have every single spell that gets created just sort of auto-define itself as like how you would cast it as a boss attack. I need to rewrite a lot of stuff for that, but that'd be an interesting idea. Okay, let's mark Sunburst for the time being, and let's get rid of Overgrowth and Overgrowth and Lightlings, which should just leave them with either healing. Let's also turn off Magic Missile for the hot second. So the only attack that the Kirin has, the only special attack the Kirin has, is to cast Sunburst. This will kill me. So if I just die, we know it worked. Does Sunburst actually affect the caster? There's a thought. Spell Sunburst. I presume it'll ignore that. Let's see, affected area. Get targets, can affect. Yeah, it looks like it's looks like it will in fact affect the caster. I just happen to predominantly be in creative mode when I cast this one. We thank you for your sacrifice. You will be remembered through clips. Okay, let's see how this goes. So I want to be ideally quite far away here. I wonder if it's worth me going to spawn. It probably is. Because that way we can't have anybody accidentally get murdered. And we've gained quite a menagerie around here. Okay. I guess here's back from when I was testing the rendering for the sigils. I love this noise. It's like that played in reverse. Okay. That's a lightning, don't need that. Okay. Kirin. There's our frond. Looking snazzy and about to murder my face, assuming this works. Game mode 0. Hit. Back up. Would help if you wouldn't follow me. I can't tell if you're following me. Like, you're not trying to attack me currently. This is an unexpected song for this particular moment. Okay. Let's run ourselves a check then. So if it's instance of any living, we check if it's got an attack target. And we're looking for either either we don't have one because we're not at any living base, or our target is greater than or equal to 25 blocks away. So if target does not equal null, print line, Kirin has attack target. There. Okay. That will give me something to go by. According to Pretzel, it's Christmas, evidently. Ah, it's because it's playing all of Big Giant Circles, and Big Giant Circles evidently has a Big Giant Christmas EP. Ah. There we go, that's a bit better. If I remember correctly, get priority, it is the higher priority. It means the higher, the more likely to be used. Yes, correct. Okay, good. There's no way I'm gonna kill Kirin, because it would be impressive. You've just realized? What? Hello? I know you have AI. Come on. Both your gender and sexual identities flags were legit made in MS Paint. MS Paint was a bit before my flag's time, I think. Okay, let's get clinical on this, shall we? So I'm gonna need... let's make it bedrock. Just so it's visible to us. Right, yes, I'm an idiot. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of an enclosure so that I can reliably say where you are. Get some slabs in on this just to give you a bit more vision. It would help if you didn't, thank you. There. Okay, so you can't wander out of that. And set block 25 2 call it redstone block. Okay, so this is the 25 mark. So let's plonk that there. Okay, so this is the point at which the Kirin should try to whack me with Sunburst. Okay, well, you're looking at me. I think I know what's going on. I think I know what's going on. Which is, I bet you the archfey don't have attack retaliation in their AI. Doesn't look like it. Yeah. Because that's part of the attack behaviors. Okay. Entity Goblin. Should do the trick for this. Fairly hurts. Hurt by target hostile player. Avoid. There is a thing for this. I know there's something that... Pigman. Hurt by aggressor? No. What's the thing I'm thinking of? Oh. Surely I have created something that's attacked that responds to being attacked by something. Giants. Giants will do. Yeah, hurt by target. There we are. In the optional AI. There. So because that wasn't ever a thing, it would they would take damage, but they wouldn't actually set the attack target to who it was that I hurt them. So he wasn't the Kirin there wasn't actually trying to hurt me the whole time. I did make a pass with his Kirin. Yeah, accidentally. How far can they sense people? Pretty damn far. It's like the base, I think, is pretty high. Like, let's see. Follow range defaults to 32 blocks. So it's still within that range. But god, could you imagine if I set that to, like, that value goes as high as 2048 blocks. Could you imagine if the Kirin was just, like, hunting you that far? It's like, you heck up, you make a mistake by accidentally, like, punching the Kirin or something, and then the Kirin hunts you for 2 kilometers. Imagine that. But okay. It's like you have to quickly figure out where the closest edge of the forest is to, like, escape. Oof. If it is as far as the shulkers, so, the shulkers, let me see. I'll have a look. Shulker follow range is set to 32. As near as I can tell, yep. So within 2 chunks. Right, let's try this again, shall we? Check my log. Yep, Kirin has an attack target now. So if I just back up. At this point, I should be getting kind of screwed. Okay, hang on. Their attack target has ceased. Why is that? Wait. Truly, they are divine. Okay, hang on. I have a better thing for this. Which I used quite recently, in fact. Okay, so TP and equals Kirin to 12, 4.5, and -2. Bleep. Oh, right, there's... I forgot one of you is gonna be way back there. Okay, where I leave the trail of cobblestone is gonna kill me. Player fleeing Kirin, yeah. Okay, what's the coordinates here? One of you has to be in here. Like, which means one of you is going to try and walk back to their, like, start position. Which I presume to be that one. Wait, no, they're both trying to go elsewhere. But I think you're trying to go back to spawn. Okay. I think that's the deviation I'm seeing here. Okay. The stuff I have to deal with. And then I believe they must have despawned because of distance. Yeah, because we should be able to see them by now. Okay. Glad I added the home position. There we go. Okay. One fresh Kirin. Can I name one? Absolutely, but there's not too much need to. Yeah, the zombie on World of Madness does that. Think Kirin's true love is causing havoc? Not certain. Okay, so if I check our reading here, it stops at here. Give or take. Is that about 16 blocks? Give or take? It is. Okay. So we've got a follow range issue here. You forgot Kirin's name and kept referring to them as Conquer? Wow. Wow. Okay, so if we check here, we can find out where exactly it was. Like if the memory part is related essentially. Revenge timer. Okay, that could also be it. What is that? What is the revenge timer? Where does that get used? And is there a thing that changes what its value is? Reset to null after 100 ticks have passed. We got to 16 blocks away, so I presume that there's a value here for that. Doesn't look like there's anything here that really would be relevant to it. I do think we should increase the follow range. Because zombies follow further than 32. I feel like the archfey should. Let's see, where is attack target? There's revenge target right there. Attack target is absent entirely, but that's because we're an 80 living base type of way. Owen Wilson? Where? Was... Huh? You've lost me here. Okay, there's that. Now, what calls that to become null in the Minecraft AI code? Also, why does this function even exist? this function even used? In alert others. Okay. But then why not just... Where does this value get called? Unseen memory ticks. Where does that come from, exactly? Entity AI targets should continue. Okay. And then the reset task. Aha. Right. Let's see, distance squared is greater than the target distance, which is attributed to the follow range, which defaults to 16. Interesting. Does that then mean that our archfey doesn't have it? Apparently we should. Okay. But it defaults to 16 even though the base value for follow range is 32. Okay, we're getting some explanation here. Let's see if just adding that has actually fixed it up then. I'm just gonna quickly check if that actually retrieves it. Doesn't look like it does. What's an attribute that... What's a shared monster attribute that like appears on some things? Well, let's see if we fixed it already. Who knows? Maybe it's fine. Owen Wilson is known for his wow? Who's Owen Wilson? Is he one of that Rat Pack band of actors I don't care about in the slightest? So because we went... because before we went beyond 16 blocks, the Kirin immediately stopped trying to follow us. So hopefully now that is resolved. Yeah, back in the day there was a group of actors referred to as the Rat Pack, and they were heavily considered to be like grand people, like good actors and stuff. But now there's a more recent one with like a bunch of people that just show up in their own movies over and over and over and over all together, and it's just they have the exact same on-screen chemistry every single time, and it's just utterly dreadful. They're like, I don't know, college buddies that keep showing up at each other's parties, and like they're the only people at those parties, and they're like 40, 50. They've got children, they have wives, that sort of thing. It's like that's what it feels like with those guys, and I hate it. They more or less are just passing around each other's money. Just surviving in Hollywood. Like, they're this really horrifying symbiotic like symbio-parasitic entity. Let me see if I remember who these people are. It's like... This Is the End was the most recent movie they did that I think I saw him in. Let's see, James Franco, Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, Danny McBride, and Craig Robinson. There you go. That's pretty much all of them. It's just like, they show up in each other's movies so much. It's so annoying. I prefer them to actually have a bit more diversity than just the same 6 guys over and over and over. Sorry, that's my, like, film nerdery creeping in a little bit there. You know 0 of those names, then you are blessed. So, it defaults to that unless it's got that, okay. Next question, how do we register them? Like, is there a thing in attribute map to register these? Yes. Okay. But theoretically, if we didn't have that, we would be causing an error here already, because we were trying to assign a value that doesn't get called anyways. Does follow range appear in our things here? Let's find out. Like, is that part of oddities already? Yes, it exists in every single entity living, which includes all the oddities. Okay, so it's not that now. So what's the next problem? Just gonna add this here. Yep, that's fine. Then there's the fire condition, which is that predicate, which we have a list of them for. Well, we have the one currently, because it's the only one, it's the only relevant thing we've had. Which is the input an SD player, or is your attack target not null? In which case, yes, good. In which case I can actually say source bus instance of entity player. Can we say players should be able to like cast this directly on themselves and such? Get a bit more useful information out of that. It's interesting, I've never had this problem before. Let's also bring up Magic Missile, because it's a very similar thing, and it has no such problems. Okay. But what we want to make sure is that this target is sufficiently far away that we're not firing a massively powerful AoE spell at ourselves. He'll never take me alive, casts a high level spell at myself and dies instantly. Yeah, that's the exact problem we're trying to resolve here. But evidently, in so doing, we have made it so that we don't ever actually cast it. And archfey have a pretty high caster level, so shouldn't be that big of an issue. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Stops at 16. Still. Interesting. If I just stand next to you, do you ever lose it? Nope. Seems to still be going. You can tell because of all the spam down here. But as soon as it goes over 16, stops. Okay. So we've still got some kind of problem there. Do I have possibly something inside of a cast spell that's causing it? Kirin has really short memory, goldfish confirmed. I feel like it's something setting the attack target to null, and the only thing I can see that does that meaningfully is the memory timer inside of entity AI target. don't even see where this is set. Set revenge target, okay. What caused that? So that I can hopefully figure out what the revenge timer is ticks existed? What? That like how long it's been? This is such a weird thing. Let's see, target unseen. If should check site is true, the number of ticks before they enter entity doesn't... Before the interruption of this AI task when the entity doesn't see the target. Okay, what about unseen memory ticks? That's apparently 60 ticks. For some reason. So if target unseen ticks is greater than 3 seconds, then auto turns that off. If it should check site, okay. Does this ask for should check site? Yes, it does. Okay, right. So apparently Kirin can't see us from their little their little cauldron like spot. Apparently. That I don't have an explanation for that, but apparently. Because that, you know, that should only mean if it's oh, that's the other thing here is follow range. Let's have this. Actually, is Kirin's attributes. Are there any attributes in here that might be overriding that? Nope. There's barely anything in Kirin's thing, actually. Is that wrong? Undefined for type entity living. Really? You sure of that? Ah, entity attribute. There you are. Okay. That will tell us if this... I've just had a thought. If this is what I think it is, I'm gonna be so annoyed. But I think it's what I think it is. We'll find out if we see 16 written down here instead of 64. And then I'll explain in what exact fashion I'm an idiot. I will explain to you in what manner I have spent a third of this stream puzzling over why they can't see us at more than 16 blocks. See that? You see how that specifically consistently says 16? So everything stops the second we get 16 blocks away. Oh boy, let me tell you all something. So, you see this section here that says attributes, and then there's things like the health, the knockback resistance, movement speed, generic armor, that sort of thing, all that stuff. And right here there is the follow range. So, when I set what value that attribute should be inside of the code, the mob spawns with that value, and then it writes it into memory whenever it gets stored or saved, whenever you unload the chunk or whatnot. And then it doesn't listen to that anymore. It just reads it from memory. Or more specifically, it sets it from memory, and then it sets it from the code, and then it reads it from memory. So, this specific Kirin has always had a attribute range of its following for 16 blocks. And nothing I do to the attribute code in its class will change that. Because every time it boots up, it will read that data, and it will say it's 16. I did not get it inverted, Dusty. I forgot it saves. So only this Kirin needs classes. In theory, the other one, way back at our usual camp, also needs it. But yeah, so this fellow needs to have a nice express trip to the void, and then I need to spawn a new one. I have made this mistake before, believe it or not. Ta-ra. I put count 32 and not... Well, anybody that's still alive... Never mind. The other one's probably fine. Oh god, I'm full of fail tonight. Ugh. Okay. New Kirin. Hi there. Your follow range should actually be correctly 64. Let's find out. Follow range 64. Good. Okay, we can see that right there. So now if I hit you, you'll actually try to hurt me. Okay. If we go beyond 16 here, we are still tracking. I see a spell being cast. No? You were trying to cast Sunburst and then nothing happened to me. Okay. Well, at least now we're a little further away. Let's actually have a quick pop back. I'm just gonna make you persistent. See if our other Kirin is over there. Right, I'm not in creative, am I? Blum. Well, but I don't see one. There should be two Kirins. There you go. Please take vengeance for your fallen brethren. I mean, that's what we're trying to get them to do. We're trying to get them to heck me up. They did try to cast the spell, though. We saw that. So something else went wrong. The little legs making them look like they're squatting and just got stuck in the cauldron. Okay, we know that part works. Grand. So what happened next? Why did that fail? Can close that, can close that. Target style is how we do that, okay. What's the spawn style for? This, I wonder. Spawn style.look. Okay. Spawns at the point you're looking at. Yeah, I wonder how that's related. So the Kirin should have spent that whole time staring at me, and then it should have triggered with a spell and casted and all sorts. Use up their magic slot. They can use that like once every 5 minutes. At which point you take... how much damage is it? Oh, is it because we had no did I forget to set the no components part, I wonder? Let's see. The damage value is... 6 plus up to 30. Presuming that you're not undead or slime. I don't know why Sunburst affects slime like that, but it does. Okay, so let's... next check if we actually affect anybody. And let's also check if it's actually working at all. Heading to bed, good luck with getting Kirin to hack you up. Yeah. This is taking a lot longer than it should have, but oh boy. We know that they tried to cast the spell. That's progress. Because we saw the particles, which at some point I need to really make into something a bit more fancy, but for right now it's just like coloured redstone particles going around you. Might have been the no components part, but let's find out. You're cold, but local Dumby forgot to leave one dressing gown unpacked. Oh dear. Is there like a jacket you could put on this thing? God, could you imagine the 1-2 punch of they cast Entangle, you are now rooted to the ground, and then they cast Sunburst? Oof. Okay, come on. One quick test before we go to break. Oh, you've still got your AI. Okay, good to know. Probably because you weren't loaded before. Sunburst was running, but it didn't affect anything. Okay. I can see that it actually was running, but we don't see it trying to affect anybody. Okay. One more problem to solve. Catch you at the break. Welcome back, everybody. So just before we finished off there, we discovered a few problems with our code. So we discovered why our Kirin wasn't able to keep tracking us at 64. Had about 25 blocks when we set it to 64, and the answer was that I forgot that they set that value when they first spawned, and they never updated from the code ever again, more or less. So, bleh. And then we actually saw the spell being cast, but it didn't actually affect anything. So we are now going to try and add a bunch of sysouts here to try and just get ourselves a clearer picture of exactly what's happening when that gets cast. And then from there, we can hopefully figure out what the problem is. So once more, we have to get the Kirin to try and blow me to Kingdom Come with searing, blinding, divine light. And then we find out what happens next. So this will tell me where the spell entity is, as well as the projected point that it's working off of, and the radius of how far from that point we should get hecked. And knowing my luck, this will magically resolve what the problem was, and I'll just get hecked anyways. Okay, so once again, hopefully with Doom. So we head back here, past 16, and there we go, casting. Alright, so the ray trace, or rather the actual like spell entity was at -95 apparently. So /TP -95 4 -4, which is way over here. Okay. I believe I see our problem. Hey, Moritz. So, it functioned perfectly, except that the entity was placed here because of how our Kirin was looking, and from here, the radius is about 24 blocks, which means that nothing, even remotely close to me, got actually affected. Okay. Well, now we know. Now we know what the problem is. We need to be aiming somewhere else. Also, this is in the opposite direction. How did we end up in the opposite direction? Like, if you were looking at me over here, how did we end up way over there? Did I read that number wrong? Doesn't matter because the X value on that is negative. And I am in the positive X. So, okay. Interesting. But at least now we know what the problem is. The answer is that we're just way off. Way off. So the first thing we're going to do is tell it a different target style. So, Wall of Fire uses the feet, and I did not write explanations for these, so I'm not 100% certain of where they're going. But let's see, helper look position is to just look straight down, like cast it at your feet. Let me actually add some descriptions here. Target a spell at caster's feet. Is that going to give me a nice little description? Yes, it will. Target spell at attack target's eye height. Position and eye. There we go. So what is floor? Because that doesn't seem to be based on our creature either. That appears to be just slightly ahead, about 3 blocks ahead at the floor. So I think what this indicates is that we need to have a new target style. So target underscore feet. And that's what we'll have our Sunburst be cast at. Where are we? There we are. So case, target, feet. Our breakpoint, because that's always helpful. Actually, hang on, is that not being... Is that not what it's already getting? Set look position with entity. It is getting that. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so we need to do it with position. Dusty, no. Okay, so now instead of looking at my head, the Kirin should look at my feet. Check out my kicks. And that should mean that the spell ends up being significantly closer to me. So let's see if this ends up closer to me now. Yeah, it's because the ray trace for Sunburst goes through entities. If I ever remotely get close to killing the Kirin, they'll just heal themselves up. Okay, that's significantly closer, that's for sure. Still negative on the x-axis, which is interesting. Projected point negative 474. Wow. Interesting. It's as though the... it's as though the Look Helper is setting the actual, like, casting way off. Way off. Which is interesting because Magic Missile certainly works. I know that much. Like, how is it managing to mess up this badly? That's my question. What's the spawn style for that look? Okay, so yeah, it's where they're looking, i.e. it should be at our feet. This entire stream beating Kirin up. I mean, Kirin, if we can succeed here, will get the last laugh. But yeah, here we are. So, Sunburst running at block position at -15 for free, which is close to us on the Y and the Z axis, but way off on the X. Eye Ray Trace failed, projected point -474, 6 -24. Let's have a look at that. Ray Trace blocks origin. Origin position is the caster's position. Okay, we know it found the caster, so that part's fine. The destination is our look times our range. I wonder... the look effect? No, that can't be the problem. I am very curious as to why specifically it's inverted on the x-axis and everything else is fine. That's an odd piece. What's the casting time for Sunburst? Standard action, i.e. 20 seconds, so 20 ticks, 1 second. Origin X plus look times range. Y, range, Z, range, yep, all good. Let's try casting Sunburst ourselves and seeing if it has any effect. Emits a blinding burst of light from the target position, causing severe damage, especially to undead and slimes. Range 305 meters, casting time 1 second. Duration instantaneous. So does this actually end up going where we want to be? Doesn't seem to have any trouble with us. Like, none whatsoever. But that is when it succeeds with the eye ray trace. So there's a problem with the eye ray trace, and that's causing huge problems for our Kirin somehow. Okay. Is that problem, perchance, that there's technically a block in their head? Like, you see that? This, strictly speaking, means there is actually a block in their head. Or rather, that their head is in a block. So let's modify our little enclosure. Teeny tiny bits. Let's use that for now. That should mean the Kirin can't actually escape out of there, but also that they shouldn't have a block in their heads, in which case this next test will kill me. Yep. That was the problem. The problem was our containment. So, yippee, I guess. So next question. How do we get it to not do that? Trying to affect the Kirin? Ooh, you should not be able to do that. Hang on here. So let's just follow this. Hang on, where did that happen? Let's also get me integrative. TP to, let's see, 31, 417. Puts me here. How did we end up over here? Interesting. One shot, one kill. I mean, I'm challenge rating 0 right now because I'm not even wearing any. I'm not wearing really any kind of armor. I had no weapons, so yeah, a challenge rating 0 creature against a level 8 spell. Bearing in mind there's only 9. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. So because that spawned here, that caused the Kirin to get damaged, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Like, we're trying to make sure that the Kirin only targets people that are beyond damaging range with that spell. But then again, the eye ray trace failed again that time. It didn't fail at any point with us when we were casting it, and that meant that the point was exactly where we were looking. And then around that destination point, 24 blocks. It somehow managed to hit both of us. That's interesting. So where is that project? That projected point is like 200 plus blocks away from us. I don't know how it hit us at all. Why are there two Kirins here? Hang on. Why are there two Kirins here? And another one. I'm confused now. This has been a very weird night. Okay, well, one of you has to go. When you and your best friend wear the same outfit, yeah. Well, one of us has to change. You go wear the human costume. So we were able to cast the spell, but we still have this problem of not actually having it be properly targeted. Because for some reason the ray trace fails. Let's see, stop on liquid, no. Ignore blocks without bounding boxes, yes. Return the last uncollidable block, no. Also, how is that the projected point? I think this is going to end up being some extremely nitty-gritty programming. This could be a while before we fix this up, which is kind of annoying because this being a live stream, I prefer to do things that have a bit quicker turnaround and which look nice on camera rather than behind-the-scenes stuff. Because behind-the-scenes stuff, like, I'm going to manage this directory to make sure that it knows where everything is. It really only comes across as being interesting on the basis of me bouncing in my chair. But having something you guys can see, it's way better. And I also prefer that myself, so... But, let's find out where it thought the Kirin's, like, eyes were when that happened. This will involve me dying again, so you can enjoy that. Okay, Kirin. Just heck me up. You somehow didn't heck me up, but you did manage to hit yourself. Okay. That actually helps me a little bit, because I don't have to teleport back. Okay. So that time, it was at 31, 4, and 17, which is way over here. The ray trace failed again. Because it put... Okay, yeah, 12, 6, and -1. Correct, so the origin is correct. Must just be something to do with the look helper, at a best guess. I could try adding an extension to the Sunburst spell to calculate to the attack target, but that feels like a cheat. It feels like we should be able to resolve this in the actual attack code. Like, the Kirin can survive this, but if we put this attack on basically anything else, barring the witch, like barring most bosses even, we're gonna cause problems. Well, I think for now we try and resolve other bugs. And I'm just gonna put in a fix me here. Actually, let's put in the spell part. Okay. So while we were looking around, we noticed that there was an event called Get Collision Boxes. If we actually go to that event, there's this big spiel right at the top, which might be meaningful. So, Collision Boxes list contains a list of detected collision boxes intersecting with the AABB. The list can be modified. So, if we go through this event, we grow the bounding box of the input entity by however much we like. We grab all the multi-part entities into there and check if any of their colliding boxes collide with the like collision box of the entity. We should theoretically be able to make, and here is a sentence I'll never say again, solid whales. You heard me. So we want VO bus server. As opposed to non-solid whales. Correct, which is what we currently have. Only one section of our whales currently is solid. It's just right behind the eyes, more or less. Like, end of the torso. Whereas we want the entire whale to be solid so that you can walk along the top of them, and such. And also so that my buggy collision code does not cause them to turn around and whack you like Babe Ruth. Or the mob, I guess. Okay, so the entity, actually no, let's go with the axis aligned BB, so bounds equals event dot get that. So now, we also need a world. Okay, so now for entity. Trying to think. Let's go to abstract whale. Entity multiplier. There you are. Don't know if it'll let me do this, but we're gonna find out. Bounds.grow. And we'll say 32 blocks. That should be enough to catch everything. Did I mistitle that? Oh, that's a capital P. That's why. Capital P. Bully. Okay, what's your problem? In type will not applicable for the arguments class anti-multipart. Okay. Yeah, doesn't like that at all. Okay. That's fine. So if multipart instance of entity multipart So let's see. From there, we need to actually get all of the parts, and that is relatively easily done because there are functions in here for just that. Where are we? Get parts. There we are. Overrided it in entity. Gotcha. Okay. So for multi-part entity parts in multi-part dot get parts. Cannot convert from element type entity. Okay, fine. They're classed as multi-part entity parts, but yeah. Like, right there. Okay. So. Note, this doesn't work. So we can ask it if we're meant to be solid. Or we can just chuck them all in because we're the only part. With this, I believe, is the only thing that uses advanced parts. Yeah, Wales currently. So private final boolean is solid. So I can have the entirety of the body be solid and the nose not be, or all sorts, but for the purposes of Wales, we want the whole thing to be solid. Okay. So if part instance of multi-part entity part advanced and multi-part entity part advanced parts dot is solid. Hopefully 32 blocks is sufficient to actually grab the things. One of the creatures that's on my to-do list for Veritodities is a legit Colossus, which, suffice it to say, is most of the world height in altitude. That we might need a bit more than just doing this, but yeah, I digress. So if bounds.intersects part dot collision bounding box itself, or is it entity bounding box? I can never remember. Then events dot get collision boxes dot add. Let's just check that. Our entity does not equal null, then that, or that. It's no. That should be fine then, actually now. Whoop. Just got rid of the thing I was trying to use, oh dear. Okay. That should mean that we will actually include the multi-part parts of the whale. Dear lord, my language is kind of weird now. Let's find out. Can we walk on the whole whale? This is one of those things that you really wouldn't think much about if I didn't do it. But the capacity to have it opens up a lot of possibilities that make it really freaking cool. Okay, whales 2. Okay. So here's the whole whale, as it were. And there are, in green, all of its multi-part bounding boxes, and there in white is its actual root entity bounding box. And currently, in white, was the only thing that actually counted as a bounding box, which is kind of a pain. But hopefully, we've just made it. Haha! We can run along the entire whale. Nice! We got it! I like how interactive it is, having people talk while you're modding to get community input, and also Awesome Brain asks questions near typicals. Yeah. But hurrah, we are standing on top of the entirety of the whale. Whale bridge. Yes, you can do that now. Now you can't place blocks on top of them, I should stress that, because they don't count as an actual, like, vertex when you're trying to do that. And I do need to make it so that they actually render properly, because if you're standing over here, you're just floating in midair. It's weird. It's not natural. But that now means that we can actually ride the whale. We can like, theoretically, if the person mounting the whale actually drives it slow enough, then any number of people can just hang out on the back of it. You can just have it parked on the surface or something. I do think I should animate the bounding boxes, so much like the shulker when it's opening and closing, you'll actually be pushed up and down, so you're always on top of these cubes that are just currently occasionally occluding my legs. Ugh. I am so glad we discovered that function, that event exists, because boy, was that a pain. But yeah, we are now capable, didn't even have to inject any code for it, we are now capable of standing on the entirety of the whale. Nice. Why do I feel like there's one missing back here? Yeah, it's not a big problem, I feel. Yeah, in theory I can also moderate the size of these at the back so that they actually, like, shrink properly. But hey, nice. Whale Ubers, yeah. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, it's just sort of a tiny thing, because, like, basically every other mob in the game, with the exception of shulkers and boats, literally shulkers and boats, you just bump into, and they can happily, like, stick their face right into you, and it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's like, of course, and everything would do that, including whales. But then you actually, like, see the size of a whale, and you realize you can build stuff inside of them. It's just like, Skele whale? Skele whales still count for this, yes. Bleep. At least I think they do. I might have counted them as something else. Hang on. Whale skeleton? No, skeleton whale. Entity whale skeleton? There we are. Yeah, they're just part of abstract whale, which this is all going through. So whale skeletons do the same thing. Like if all of these do it, then skeleton whales do it. Now, the main difference between these whales and the skeleton whales is the skeleton whales don't have an access. Like, they don't have a stomach to access. Okay, this does have the weird situation, though, that because the whale doesn't actually care about collision too much when it's moving around, its collision boxes can be outside of its enclosure, and hence I can stand over here, just floating in midair. It's also not, because of the limitations of bounding boxes, I can't rotate them, so they're always this flat square on the exact same orientation rather than actually matching the whale's orientation, which you don't tend to notice too much with, like, boats, and especially not with shulkers. But it does mean that, for whatever reason, I can't run in this direction, especially because the whale doesn't render, so it appears to be an invisible wall. Ugh, the bane of gamers. Hey, I'm glad we managed to figure that out so quick. Hey! We got it working. We got it working. Okay. So I can take that off of my task list. Hooray! Only 19 more to go. Some of these things which will not be done for this post anyways. Some mobs need one or more custom sounds. Yeah, that's not gonna get finished this version. Lockpick interaction, that's not happening. Just like a whole ton of stuff here is not gonna get done before this next thing comes out. But hey, I'm glad we managed to work that out. It's weird that it was actually surprisingly easy and we didn't have to inject any code, but I'm glad we fixed that part. Good luck with that. Which part? The sounds, or I did find a thing that is specifically made for like industry grade making of noises for like video games and whatnot, but it's like 350 quid to get it. It's like, I pay less than that in rent. Oh. But hey, as we close out the as we close out the night, I guess now is a good time to remind you that I have a Patreon at patreon.com/lying, and if you want nice, magnificent quality creature noises instead of me going 1,500 times, you can pledge to that for as little as $1 a month. So consequently, you can contribute to making various oddities that little bit higher quality. Wouldn't that be lovely? And meanwhile, I do make videos on youtube.com/remembercomic, and my next stream should be on Thursday with some more Spirit of the North, wonderful cute foxes, followed on Friday with less cute, strange mechanical transhumanist horrors in Soma, and we'll have some random games with the patrons on Saturday at 9 as well. And then we're back for more of this on Tuesday. So, hope you've all enjoyed. Sorry we didn't get nearly as much done as I'd hoped for, but we had some very interesting interactions there that I might have to sort of tweak. But otherwise, hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time. You didn't get any hugs today, did you? Oh, poor Cranston.